Oh, I better put my glasses on. I better get on the right page. Well, I don't have that on. That's good. Welcome to Bass Coast Australia Day Awards presentation for 2021. I'm Michael Whelan, Bass Coast Shire Council Deputy Mayor. It is now my great honour to introduce a video sponsored by Bass Coast Shire Council and other members of the Bass Coast Reconciliation Network. Before I do though, I'd just like to say that we acknowledge that we are meeting tonight on the land of the traditional owners, the Boonwurrung and Bunurong clans. We pay our respects to the First Nations people, their elders, past and present. This video has been produced by the Bunurong Land Council and they have given us permission tonight to share it as our welcome to country.
I would like to pay my respects to our elders, past, present and future, and any elders here with us today. I also pay my respects to the land where we are standing on today, which is our mother, and Bunjil, the great creator spirit, our father. Wominjinka, Uriel, once along Bunurong, Big Big. Welcome to many friends to Bunurong country. Please look after her.
For me, these places like this, it's the classroom, it's teaching us, and every day changes when you come down to places like the Bass Coast and Phillip Island. It's never the same, the stories are never ending, and the creations are always happening from day to day. For me, walking these sands is recreating and walking in the footsteps of my elders and ancestors from the past. It's about reconnecting, connecting, and the spirits guide you and take you to these places that they've accessed and used for over 40,000 years.
The Bass Coast in particular is very important to us. There's a lot of significant sites to Bunurong people along this coast, and it was a huge resource for us. These cliffs are like our cathedrals. This is our church. When we come here, it is a spiritual place to us, and it connects us to our country and to Mother Earth.
As you walk along these sand dunes and coastlines, you see the evidence of Bunurong people, the stories that they left behind, the midden sites, the hearth features, the artefact scatters. It's a continuous story right around this island and along the Bass Coast Shire. In the summer months, mutton birds were plentiful. They had returned from their annual migration and numbered thousands in the rookeries along the south coast of the island. Phillip Island is probably one of the biggest cultural landscapes that has very little information about it. And the places that we do know of, it holds the stories of our ancestors, and that just gives us a little insight into how Bunurong people lived and enjoyed and loved this part of our lands. We're still here, we haven't changed, and we're still doing cultural practices and telling them Bunurong stories that have been told for thousands and thousands of years. As a traditional custodian of this land, we ask you to look after her, care for her, love her. Wominjinka.
Photo taken, then please let Linda, who's standing at the door, know, and we will make sure that they are not used. We're operating under strict COVID conditions, so you've all got your distancing there tonight, but I need to mention a few other items. When speaking into the microphone, we won't be using masks. That's more for the nominees, so who'll get their opportunity to say a few words later. When speaking, do not place your mask on the lectern. Hold it in your hand. As required under DHHS guidelines, we need to exit the hall through a different door from that used for arrival, and that's over that side of the room. As such, we ask you to please leave the hall using the side door, then through the courtyard. If anyone's lost, we'll do a search later on and make sure we get you back to the road and to your car. If you have access issues and are not able to use steps, please let Linda again know. Please also observe our social distancing, so we've done a bit of work for you in that regard, except when you are from the same household, as this contributes to safety. Our stage area for the presentation of the awards is set to allow for this social distancing. Unfortunately, it may not be the best for photos. However, there will be opportunity for photos outside after the ceremony when masks do not have to be worn. You are still most welcome to take photographs during the ceremony and may approach the stage area for a better shot, but please do not linger. Return to your seat promptly after you take the photos. I would now like to welcome our wonderful Mayor, Councillor Brett Tessari, Bass Coast Shire Council, to say a few words.
You forgot your first job. There we go. Thank you, Michael, or Councillor Whelan. It's a different world we live in, isn't it? I was talking to a few people that I was here talking with last year, and to Don and Soph and a couple others, and it's a crazy, crazy world we're in, but it's where we're at, and we do the best we can. So it's going to be one of those nights tonight where we will stumble our way around, but we're all doing the best we can. I'd like to acknowledge my fellow councillors, our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Michael Whelan, as well as Councillors Lang, Holstead and Laserve, which are here tonight, and also the other councillors which are joining us online. I'd also like to acknowledge Sophie Boulding, our 2020 Bass Coast Young Citizen of the Year, and Don Turner, our 2020 Bass Coast Citizen of the Year, and also to those in the community that are joining us virtually. I'd also like to advise the apologies from Councillors Rook, Kent and Bauer, Jordan Crignali, our member for Bass, Melina Bath, our member for Eastern Victoria, and Jan Childs, our CEO for Bass Coast Health. The Australia Day Awards are all about recognising the contribution within our Shire of ordinary Australians who contribute above and beyond expectations. Their achievements often go unrecognised, but the far-reaching effect and they offer a great contribution to our community. There are many individuals, and we all know them, who give us countless hours of work across the community in a wide range of spectrums, in activities and services. These people have one thing in common. They are genuinely humble and do not expect recognition. And I can actually vouch for that because I was talking to most of the nominees just before, and all of them are amazed that they've been nominated and putting more praise on the people that actually nominated them than themselves, and that is typical. We all owe them a debt of gratitude. I would now like to welcome Sophie Boulding, our 2020 Young Citizen of the Year, to say a few words. Soph?
Thanks, Brett. Well, firstly, I'd like to congratulate all the nominees of this year's Citizen of the Year Awards. It's a fantastic achievement and a true honour to be held to that level of accolade of inspiring your community. Being the Young Citizen of the Year for me has been an amazing experience, even though 2020 was one of the weirdest years, at least in my lifetime. Although there were several cancelled events, I was very grateful that myself and Don could attend some such as the first ever online citizenship ceremonies and the Remembrance Day ceremony. What I learnt most from last year was to savour and enjoy those moments where you could be together in the community. For example, our football season was cancelled for 2020, but when we could go back to training together, non-contact after that big isolation period, is one of the happiest moments of my life. To the new citizens of the year, both young and mature, I do encourage you to take every opportunity that comes your way to connect with our community. I heard a great quote the other day that said, "Hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life." So I also encourage you to keep committing to those choices you've made to be here today, and you'll keep living a fulfilled life. Thank you.
That's 3 from 3, 2 if they're thrown, so if you're keeping count, I haven't missed. Thanks, Soph. And Soph, you're going to stay up here and help us with the presentation of the Bass Coast Young Citizen of the Year. So we all know many wonderful young people that commit their time and effort to better our community. We're here today to acknowledge some of these people. I'd like to thank all of those that took the time to submit or contribute to the nominations for the 2021 awards. I'd also like to thank the judging panel and members of the assistants for the assistance in judging the nominations. These are never an easy task. It is an honour, and it is such an honour just to be nominated, and I've said that a couple of times. It's an amazing achievement to be nominated for these awards. But without further ado, I'm really delighted to announce that the 2021 Young Bass Coast Citizen of the Year is Margaret Sand. And I'd ask Margaret to come on up. Thanks, Margaret. Margaret was nominated by John Williams. I've gone early with my wipe too. Sorry. So Margaret is 19 years old and has just completed Year 12 at the Wonthaggi Secondary College. She comes from a family of 5 siblings and a single parent, her mum. Margaret was a member of the Wonthaggi Secondary College Leadership Group and currently works at McDonald's part-time. Whilst doing all this, she also finds time to volunteer at the Vinnie's Op Shop in Wonthaggi. She believes community is very important, both to herself and to the fabric of how we can learn to support and help one another. Volunteering is such a way in which Margaret contributes and shows leadership within the Wonthaggi community. In 2019, Margaret initiated a program for the homeless packs with Wonthaggi Christian Life Centre and Wonthaggi Anglican Church. She spent a sizable portion of her own income to put together packs for people within Bass Coast who were less fortunate than her. She also shared her intentions to write to the Indigenous girls from a remote Western Australian community to encourage and support them as part of the commitment to strengthening communities. Margaret is passionate about helping and supporting people, and it is her goal to do law and community development at university to enable her to work and to aid and advocacy for the future. It is easy to see and really quite amazing. I don't know what you were doing when you were 19, but I wasn't doing that. It is really quite amazing to see why Margaret's strong sense of social justice and has warranted her not only the nomination, but also awarded her the Young Bass Coast Citizen of the Year. Congratulations, Margaret. Come on up.
Well, thank you, everyone. I really like to thank John for nominating me. I would like to thank a lot of people, especially my mum, who isn't here at the moment because of COVID. I like to thank a lot of people, and mostly the important person in my life, which is God. I mean, through him, I met John and those around me and who supported me. So I like to thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you.
Thanks, Soph. Well done, Margaret. Now the 2021 Bass Coast Citizen of the Year Award. I'd like to call upon our 2020 Bass Coast Citizen of the Year, Don Turner, to come up and say a few words. Don. Yeah, mate, all cleaned, ready for you.
Thanks, Brett. Like Sophie, I'd like to congratulate all of the nominees, and while congratulating all of you, I'd like to acknowledge that there are lots and lots of people, as Brett mentioned before, out in our community who are doing wonderful things, partly some of them as part of their paid occupation or as their job, but there's a lot of people out there who are doing wonderful things as volunteers, and that's really what makes our community such a great place to live. For me, I've thoroughly enjoyed my role as Citizen of the Year 2020. In some ways it has been a little bit of a non-event in terms of there have been a lot of activities that were obviously shut down for so long. But for me personally, to an extent, the award meant that it was a validation for some of the tasks or volunteer work that I had been doing, not only during the last year or so, but also back earlier in time as well. Some of those have included bike ed in primary schools and road safety in general. More recently, I've been involved with the L2P program for young learner drivers, and while that's been interrupted a couple of times, when the program's been shut down for a couple of times, it's certainly opened back up again now, and we've been very busy training up new volunteers, new mentors for that program, which has been very rewarding. I guess a couple of other things that I've been involved with have been the Phillip Island Bicycle User Group, and during that we've been organising rides for members and also advocating for road safety and for improved infrastructure for cyclists as well. And my other passion has been working with the Bass Coast Shire Council to organise for an aquatic centre to be built on Phillip Island, and that's probably not far off fruition now, which is really good. One of the more difficult things for me has been having to be on my best behaviour out in public all of the time, and so I'm pleased to say that that's coming to an end. So.
Well done, Don. And I'm sad to say, Don, that you'll always be the former now Citizen of the Year, so you've got to stay on your best behaviour. It doesn't work now. It's not the end of the road. You keep going. You've always got to be good out there, and I'm sure you will be. Okay, and Don, you're going to stay up here and help us get organised as we go. So our first nominee is Matt Botel, nominated by Neville Goodwin and Jan Child. Matt, please come forward and take a seat. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit full swing in March 2020, Matt heard about the extreme shortage of crucial personal protective equipment, or PPE, when Bass Coast Health reached out to the community after facing significant shortages. Matt contacted them and within hours had repurposed 14 of his 30 3D printers to manufacture face shields to ensure local health care workers were safe. These face shields were provided for free in line with the free 3D hand charity constitution to aged care services, hospitals, GP clinics and frontline workers. This was a zero profit exercise for free 3D hands, and all donations received went directly towards making sure frontline healthcare workers were equipped with quality PPE to keep everyone healthy and safe. Matt worked day and night for weeks on end to meet the quotas he had set himself and the team to produce face shields. He used $14,000 of his own savings to immediately secure the raw materials and work with Bass Coast Health to make the best product possible. A community fundraising appeal generated $33,400 of further government funding, allowed him to employ local people who had lost their jobs due to the pandemic. In total, he produced 6,000 face shields, which were distributed across the whole of Australia, and 2,800 right here to Bass Coast Health. This excellent work is in addition to the truly inspirational work he already has done, which is already done by Matt and his team at Free 3D Hands, which has been changing the lives of children all over the world since 2014. Matt's passion and commitment make him a worthy nominee for this award. Best of luck, Matt. Would you like to say a few words? Here we go, mate.
Well, thank you very much. It's a real honour to be nominated for this award. I'd like to thank Neville Goodwin for his very, very kind nomination, as well as the endorsement from Jan Childs. You know, it's been, for a lot of people here in the Bass Coast region and right across Australia and around the world, probably the hardest year that a lot of us have faced. But for me, through the connection that I've had with our community, you know, through Nicole Baker, through Jan Child at Bass Coast Health and all of the staff, it's been a real a year of just feeling really, really connected with our community. I'd just like to thank my wife, Yuka, for all of her support. I'd like to thank Rebecca, who's looking after the kids at home at the moment. And you know, I just wanted to just reiterate that, you know, we just, at Free 3D Hands, it was no question of whether we help or not during the pandemic. It was how can we, in our own small way, help through, you know, using the skills and capability that we had, as a small way of thanking all of the frontline workers that have been working day and night, you know, through the entire pandemic, and continue to be out there with all of the COVID testing stations, all of the volunteers that are helping. It's just our way of saying thank you. So I'd like to, you know, just to say this nomination is really not for me. It's really for all of the frontline workers through the Bass Coast area. Thank you very much.
Our second nominee is Leah Matthews, nominated by Emily van der Walt. Leah, will you please come forward, take a seat. Since the tragic death of her best friend Samantha Fraser in July 2018, Leah has dedicated herself to ensuring no more women become victims of domestic violence. Often when people experience tragedy, they withdraw from the world. However, Leah made the decision to make sure that even though Sam was no longer here, her voice would still be heard. The Change for Sam initiative was created by a group of community members and family violence service providers following Sam's death. The Change for Sam initiative includes representatives from a broad range of local community service organisations, local businesses, and most importantly, it partners with community members and Sam's family and friends. It is driven by the community with the aim of preventing family violence, particularly against women and children in the Bass Coast area, and to coordinate current services and resources to better respond to incidents of family violence, something Sam cared deeply about. Despite mourning the loss of her best friend, Leah put her own emotions aside to represent the community and be Sam's voice on the Change for Sam committee, and has put hundreds of hours into developing the resources in support of the initiative. As part of Change for Sam, Leah has nominated kindness cards to be distributed amongst the community and has also just finished working on a project to personally write to children over Christmas. Her kindness for others is endless, and even though the pain of her losing her best friend has been horrendous, she managed to put this aside to make sure a tragedy like this does not happen again. Leah is also a huge support for Sam's parents, contacting them weekly and regularly gives her time to help them with their grieving. Leah has worked closely with Jan Child from Bass Coast Health, Bass Coast Shire Council and local police, and as part of the Orange Door community. Sam's death continues to impact on Leah's health and well-being, yet she continues to get out of bed each day to make a difference for someone else. Sam was lucky to have such a beautiful friend like Leah, who dedicates all her time to make sure Sam is never forgotten. Domestic violence is a huge problem in Australia. Any person who gives up their own time to try and help women feeling trapped in their relationships is a true hero. Leah's courage and determination exemplifies the virtue of a worthy nominee for this award. Leah, would you like to come forward and say a few words?
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed to be here. I'm not doing anything different that anyone else wouldn't have done, and I know that Sam would have just wanted kindness in the community, especially at a time like this that's so crazy. So to put a smile on someone's face is just really special, and I'm happy to do that on her behalf and on behalf of whoever needs to do that. So thanks everyone, and I'll have a good night.
Missed. That's 5-1 now if you keep them count. Well done, Leah. Amazing lady. So far our two nominees are really quite special people, and reading through all of our nominations, there's some amazing people in our community, and our next nomination is one of them, and that is Everett Keith, nominated by Teresita Plum. I know her as Tara Plum. So Everett, would you like to come forward? As a pharmacist, Everett has worked extremely hard to keep the community safe and COVID-19 free. When hand sanitisers become unavailable throughout the country, Everett worked day and night to manufacture them from scratch with the aim to protect the community and to keep businesses running. Through the Wonthaggi Amcal Pharmacy Facebook page, Everett provided the community with valuable information and advice. He put together COVID business packages and distributed them to local businesses and provided them with the advice on how to protect their staff and run their business with necessary hygiene requirements. Everett worked tirelessly to make sure the pharmacy would remain open in order to provide the community with the service and the care it needed. He introduced a vaccination facility within the pharmacy to increase herd immunity amongst the influenza virus. Everett worked outside the business hours to deliver medication to the elderly and the high-risk patients, and he donated masks as well as eggs from his own farm to the local church for distribution to the most vulnerable in the community. This year has been an extremely stressful year for everyone across the globe. Everett did his best to provide his staff members with a safe and happy environment to work in. Everett is an invaluable member of our local CFA. He is always on call when needed. He has been with the CFA for 10 years and he is currently ranked the 4th Lieutenant. Everett is also a life member of the local soccer club. Everett is a devoted husband and father. On top of the work of working 7 days a week to run the pharmacy, he and his wife, business partner Louise, also had to homeschool their 2 daughters during lockdown. Everett loves a good laugh. He loves music. He loves his friends, but above all, he adores his family. Everett is a genuinely nice person who would never hesitate to help someone in need. Wonthaggi is very fortunate to have someone so clever, devoted, genuine and helpful. every town needs and deserves an Everett, a most admirable nominee for this award. Everett, would you like to come forward and say some words?
I was hoping to avoid this, but in any case, I have copped a hockey ball to my lip, so it's a little bit swollen last night, unfortunately. Thank you, firstly, Tara, for the nomination. It is greatly appreciated, and it is a true honour. Thank you guys for hosting and organising this through very difficult times. A big thanks to my wife and my girls at home, who did unbelievable amounts of work. I'd say the biggest part that we had was that we had a lot of people helping us. We had the council behind us. We had a phenomenal amount of staff that were doing an unbelievable job, and dedicated staff to getting the job done. So I really think a lot of this has to do with everybody else, and I might have just been at the top of that chain, that's all. So thank you very, very much.
Our next nominee is Dave Sutton, nominated by Linda Petty. Dave, please come forward. I got to know Dave through his role on the South Gippsland Conservation Society, and in particular in relation to coastal erosion, and I can tell you that he's personally informed me greatly on the issues around coastal erosion and what council needs to be doing to get its act together in that area. Dave, for years, has been the dependable figurehead of the South Gippsland Conservation Society, during which time he has developed relationships with communities and agencies, advocating for studies to be undertaken on the erosion along our shoreline and environmental protection action. In response to coastal erosion along Inverloch Beach, Dave was instrumental in the Society receiving a grant for the Inverloch Coastal Resilience Project. This project provided science-based evidence that assisted in attracting funding of $750,000 from state government to undertake a local coastal hazard assessment and regional strategic partnership studies that will inform future planning at sea levels rise and climate change impacts our community. Dave has volunteered well beyond his role with the Society to save the Inverloch Surf Lifesaving Club, our coastline and community assets. Dave is an inspirational role model, always leading with his boots on the ground, including undertaking shoreline reconnaissance, laser level survey and drone monitoring following storm events. Dave is a life member of the Society, a member of the Community Advisory Group for the West Gippsland Catchment Management Authority, and a past board member of the Gippsland-wide Energy Innovation Cooperative. He does not seek out personal accolades, he just gets on with the job. Dave actively seeks out funding for the community. In the past, was instrumental in securing $99,000 from Pick My Project for the construction of a wetland boardwalks, Wonthaggi's hidden gem. Dave's capacity to maintain momentum and juggle tasks throughout COVID-19 restrictions, creating successful and enduring relationships with community, businesses and agencies is a testament to his project management skills, passion for the environment and our community. Dave's unwavering commitment to protect and preserve some of Bass Coast's most valuable assets makes him an admirable candidate for Bass Coast Citizen of the Year. Dave, would you like to say a few words?
Thanks, Michael, for those words. I'd just like to thank Linda, who nominated me for tonight's awards, and to all the other nominees as well. It never ceases to amaze me, the volunteer work that goes on out there, often unseen, often unrecognised. And I think it's to Council's credit that they do run these awards every year. So great work, Bass Coast Shire Council. What I'm about is protecting our environment and looking to the future, climate change, and I think the more we can engage the community, business, council and local government in working towards a sustainable future that is truly sustainable, We've got a long way to go. We're at the starting point, but I think now is the time to get moving, and I'll continue to undertake that volunteers work, and thanks to all the volunteers that I work with that also do untold hours of work throughout this shire and elsewhere. Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks, Council. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Congratulations. Our next nominee is Karen Treppo, nominated by Catherine Anderson. Karen, if you could come forward. And Karen is another one of those ones that I was talking to before, same as what Everett was talking about before, that doesn't feel she deserves to be sitting here, but they all seem to say the same thing. Karen is dedicated to the welfare of children, families and her community. As Director of the Phillip Island Early Learning Centre, Karen works with families assisting in any way possible to meet their needs with dignity and respect. Inclusion and safety for all children and families is her priority, and she aims to help achieve this for all those that she connects with. Karen not only oversees an amazing early childhood service, but continuously seeks ways to improve services and supports for her clients and community. Karen has set up programs to assist children and families, including a sustainable clothing rack where parents can donate children's clothes and can take clothes as needed. She created the Early Learning Centre Community Pantry, where all families can pick up items they need or desire. There is no judgment and it is accessible to all. She also provides food vouchers and gives them out to those in crisis and in need. Karen keeps Share the Dignity bags in her cupboard for women in need, and she also feels a mother may need a safety plan or is at risk. She seeks consent to engage other services to work together for positive outcomes. Karen seeks grants to improve services at the centre and does a lot of this in her own time without expecting recognition. She volunteers her time to the Phillip Island community and the Learning Centre Pantry program and Monday night Uniting Church community dinners. Karen is a mother of 3 beautiful young ladies. She raised twins, so understands the challenges of parenting. She lives locally in Cowes and is an active member of the Phillip Island community. Karen has worked as an early childhood worker both at Kids House and as a teacher's aide at Cowes Primary School. But her care and concern has never stopped at work. She always has time to stop and talk to her past students and her families and their families, consistently empowering them to work the best they can be. Karen epitomises a person befitting the nomination of the Bass Coast Citizen of the Year. Karen, would you like to come forward and say some words?
I'd like to thank Bass Coast Council for this honour and to Catherine for nominating me. I just feel very blessed to be part of a community that has the same ideals as me, and that is that it takes a village to raise a child. And I think that's very evident, especially this last year, through very stressful times. I've seen some really positive outcomes, which I think will put us in good stead moving forward. I'm just one of many in this community, and I'm just really blessed to be surrounded by such amazing people and nominees. So thank you very much.
Our next nomination is Mark Underwood, nominated by Farah Underwood. Mark, would you please come forward? As a graphic designer by day, Mark wanted to find a way to give back to his community. So around 12 months ago, he started a side passion project called Local Clothing. With 3 young kids, he found it a bit difficult to get involved with the community, so came up with this idea to contribute. He runs Local Clothing, a clothing company offering plenty of comfy threads for men, women and children. He works after hours when the kids are in bed. Mark donates 10% of the turnover, not just 10% of the profit, to a different community group every month. The public is invited to nominate Bass Coast-based groups or organisations for Mark to consider donating to. In the past 12 months, Mark has donated $4,837 to local organisations, including the Woolamai Beach Surf Lifesaving Club, Phillip Island CFA, the National Surfing Reserve, Change for Sam, the Phillip Island Football and Netball Club, Phillip Island Land Care, Phillip Island Community and Learning Centre, Cowes Primary School, the Phillip Island SES, Bass Coast Health and the Penguin Foundation. Mark does all the design, photography, marketing, packing and deliveries, a bit of a one-man show. This ensures the viability of the business and maximises turnover, which means more for the community. Local Clothing is based on Mark's passion to give back to the community and his efforts to get that cheque as big as possible at the end of every month for local community groups. This dedication and desire to give back to his community makes Mark a worthy nominee for Bass Coast Citizen of the Year. Mark, would you like to come and say a few words?
Thank you very much. Very honoured to be here and to receive the nomination. I started Local Clothing, like you said, as I didn't have time to get out and volunteer my time and to work with lots of individual groups within the Bass Coast Shire. And yeah, now we're just under $6,000 we've donated through 13 months. So yeah, special thanks to my wife. She obviously helps out a lot. We've got 2-year-old twins and a 5-year-old, so we're very busy at home. And thanks to the Bass Coast community. It's really a community-driven project. All the nominations for where the money goes is all from the community. And if we weren't received so well within the community, we wouldn't have been able to donate so much. So, thank you.
Hope Linda didn't see that. Our final nomination is Karen Walters, nominated by Jan Martin. Karen, could you please come forward? For the last 7 years, Karen has volunteered as convener of the Red Cross Patient Transport Inverloch service. In that role, she has made a significant positive difference to hundreds of vulnerable residents in Bass Coast, many of who have been undergoing life-saving treatment, have not had any other means to get their medical appointments. She organises transport to local, regional and metropolitan hospitals for people needing cancer treatment, surgery and various specialist appointments. In every situation, without exception, Karen shows genuine compassion and care to those people, who are often at their most fragile and vulnerable, providing them with the reassurance of a reliable and caring transport service. Her volunteer role is multifaceted. As well as organising transport for clients, Karen coordinates a team of up to 15 volunteer drivers at any time. This part of her role includes training, rostering and supporting the team. She has done that every weekday, 48 weeks of the year over the last 7 years, even managing the service remotely when interstate. On top of her convener role during the bushfire emergency in Gippsland in January 2020, Karen organised transport for airfield bushfire victims from Malakuta to emergency accommodation. In addition, becoming aware of the trauma for families at that time, she facilitated a local trauma toy donation for children affected by the bushfires with an overwhelming local response. Karen has a unique ability to build rapport with clients and also to make every driver feel they are making a significant contribution to the service. It is not easy to build and maintain a cohesive team of volunteer drivers who work on their own. She is available for drivers to debrief, providing emotional support in what can be stressful situations. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Karen has adapted the transport service to ensure that critical services continue safely, albeit at a reduced level. She continues to provide frontline response to requests for assistance and retains the confidence of the drivers that the service will return to its former capacity when the COVID threat is over. Karen's commitment to go above and beyond for all those she meets epitomises the virtues of a worthy nominee for this award. Karen, would you like to come and say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you. There's one advantage to being a W. You get to hear everybody else's story first, and all I can say is what an amazing group of nominees, and I'm very proud to be one of them. Thank you, Jan, for the nomination on behalf of the drivers that suggested this would be a great idea. I'm not so sure about that, but I really do appreciate the nomination. I appreciate Council running the Citizen of the Year. I think it's an amazing thing, and I would like to congratulate the young citizen on her nomination, her award, sorry. Red Cross Transport is probably been a huge part of my life for nearly 8 years now, and I'm not too sure what I'm going to do without it when I do step aside at some stage this year. When I volunteered initially, I was a driver and a convener as well, and the convener role got to the stage that I needed to step back from that driving hours in order to convene. I have an amazing team of drivers, all of whom volunteer their time month after month, year after year. I just presented a certificate to a driver who finished after 19 years of volunteer service. The Red Cross people that we help are the most vulnerable of our community. One of the things I have to do is complete the paperwork, and part of that paperwork is asking for an emergency contact should something happen during the trip. And I would say we probably have maybe 5% of people who can't give me an emergency contact. They don't have anyone. So Red Cross put their name down to support that person, and I think that's a huge thing, and I think the fact that we have so many vulnerable people in our community is something that we always need to remember and to respond to as best we can. Thank you.
See the Mayor getting a bit toey there. What an amazing, gracious, dedicated group of leaders we've been exposed to tonight. It's really humbling, and it's with pleasure now that I invite the Mayor to come forward to announce the Citizen of the Year.
Thanks, Michael. I think we might put our hands together one last time for the 7 nominations. Well done to all those people. I've had the honour of standing up here now. I think this is the 3rd one I've overseen, and I say every year that our community's in really safe hands when we've got people like our Young Citizen of the Year, Margaret over there, 19 years old, and then our 7 for the Citizen of the Year. People like this in a community are amazing, and we get testing times as we've just been through, but with people like this in our community, it really is a shining light, and we will get through it. But in saying that, we only have one winner, and as deserving as all 7 are, the winner of our 2021 Bass Coast Citizen of the Year is Matt Baltau. Well done.
Goodness, what a shock and surprise. It's been mentioned, to sit and listen to all of the other nominations and the incredible work that's been done you know, and some of that work has touched me very personally through Sam in our community. It's just incredible to be a part of this community, and as I mentioned, the last year for me has been a really special year. Just like to thank everybody in the community that have helped us to deliver these face shields to all of our frontline workers. I apologise if I forget any. Jordan Croniali, our local MP, worked very closely with Jan Childs to not only get the team to test and validate our design before we submitted it for approval to the Therapeutics Goods Administration, but Jordan and Jan were just incredible support all the way through. We had Anne Jeffries, a local on Phillip Island, went backwards and forwards to Melbourne, delivering the face shields and picking up new raw materials, organising all of the permits during the very difficult time to do that. We had a local mechanic, Ricky, who had been stood down from his chef and mechanic job, incredibly running all of our 3D printers all by himself till about 2 o'clock in the morning. But having the skills as a mechanic, he was able to get the 3D printers running again when they stopped. And also to be able to organise, these 15, it was about 15 printers to run all at once, used his chef skills, which was quite incredible. We had, Year 12 students helping, Caitlin and Simone Hunt, Anna Colstrom. We had just an amazing team, Angus Hunt as well, helping. It was just a massive, massive community effort, all with the intention of trying to serve our community, serve those who continued to work for us. And they must have been scared, I'm sure, not knowing in the early days what this virus was. And we just wanted to offer that additional layer of protection so they could go to work and just feel that little bit safer. And really for us it was just something that we could do, and we did it. It's standing up here and receiving this recognition. It's a big honour, but I do feel that being a judge is probably the hardest job in the world, because I don't know how you could separate any of the finalists tonight. For me and our team at Free 3D Hands, I'd just like to thank you, and thanks Neville again for your kind nomination. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Margaret and Matt, and thank you, Councillor Tassari, Sophie, Don, and all our guests for acknowledging our award nominees and winners tonight. Indeed, a very worthy group of nominees, and it shows what a strong community we are here in Bass Coast. That concludes the formal proceedings for this evening. There will now be photo opportunities to answer the Mayor's question outside, where masks will not need to be worn, but please remember to continue to social distance. Please also remember to leave the hall using the door over here to your right. And I would like to thank you for your assistance in ensuring a safe event tonight, and thanks for coming along and celebrating the wonderful talent we have here in Bass Coast. Thank you very much. Good evening.